Hello, hello. Today is day 42, and today we are going to be talking about the tip credit for salons and barbershops with employees. I am a little late, like I'm 1 minute late. I want to tell you before we get started because I got to decompress. So I just got the phone with one of my clients. He's been with me for about 3 years as a bookkeeping client, and he's a barber out of New Jersey, and we were going over his numbers for 2025 and 2026. And when he started with me back in 2022, he was making $26,000 as his max. Today, we were going over his 2025 numbers, and he's at $80,000. He was blown away. He was like, "Oh my god!" He had to like take a screenshot and was like, "I got to show my mom." So I love that for him, and I was really excited. So that's the reason why I'm a few minutes late. But today I want to talk about this tax tip for salons and barbershops that have employees. And so if you are joining me live, let me know where you are joining from. Put it in the chat. In the chat, we have Tara. She is our enrolled agent extraordinaire at Hair CEO, our senior reviewer of tax returns. And so if you have questions while I'm going over what I'm going over in the live today, just shoot them in the chat, and she'll be there to answer any questions if I'm not able to. Like sometimes I'll see the questions and I'll be able to answer. Now, if you are catching this on the replay, drop hashtag replay. Let me know if you have employees. Let me know that you watched this video. And of course, leave any questions that you may have, because this is one of the more exciting credits that rolled out with this one big beautiful bill that I'm going to break down and give it some numbers and some scenarios. And so if you've never been to one of these lives before, you're like, I don't even know who you are. My name is Jennifer Drew. I am the founder and CEO of Hair CEO. We are a bookkeeping, advisory, and tax firm helping self-employed hair professionals and hair business owners run legitimate, profitable, and bankable businesses. And so we are in a 90-day series. This is day 42 of 2026 Tax Talk, because there are a lot of tax changes that impact the beauty and hair industry specifically, that I just want to make sure that you are feeling comfortable going into this tax filing season. So before we get into this tax tip, this tip credit, if you have employees, first we got to do some like education. So we got to bring you up to speed on a few things so that it'll all make sense. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to review the self-employment tax. So if you have been self-employed for more than, I would say, a year, you should know now that there is a thing called self-employment tax. And you should have heard the number or seen the number 15.3%, because that is the amount that you are required to pay when you are self-employed. Now, this 15.3% is actually made up of two parts. 7.65 is the employer portion if you work for someone else. And then the 7.65, the other half of that is actually what you pay as the employee. And so because you are self-employed, you are both the employer and the employee, technically, not really, because you have to be careful with those terms when it comes to the IRS, because if you're self-employed, you're not an employee. So, but we are just using these terms right here to make it easy for you to understand. Okay, so if you have ever worked for anyone else, then you will know that you pay income tax, but then also, you may not know, but your employer is actually paying part of your income tax for you. Not the income tax. You are paying the income tax, but they are paying a portion of your payroll tax. Excuse me. I want to make sure I'm speaking clearly here. So if you've ever worked for someone else, they are sharing the burden with you on the payroll tax. And if you've been watching these lives for the past weeks and going on months now, then you will know this part of the tax is actually for your benefit. These amounts go directly to your Social Security and your Medicare. And so when you work for someone else, that's one of the benefits of working for someone else, because they are helping contribute to your Social Security and to your Medicare. Now, when you are self-employed, that's why you have to pick up the entire 15.3%. So that's a little background, because we wanted to make sure that we understand the rest of this tip credit, because it's going to come back to this. And I want to make sure you have that context and that understanding before we go any further. Okay. So now that we are on the same page with that, we want to look at a scenario here. So if you have employees, you could be a booth renter. Hey, I've seen it happen. You may be a booth renter, but you have an assistant, and you put this assistant on payroll. And so they are your employee. Or let's say you are a salon owner and you have a storefront and you have employees. You have stylists working for you, or maybe you have a barbershop and you have employees working for you, and you put them on payroll. So they have wages, okay? And so in this scenario that we're going to talk about, this barber or hairstylist makes $50,000 in wages, but then had $8,000 in tips. Now, when done correctly, when you run your payroll will ask you how much of the income this pay period was made up of wages and how much of this pay period was made up of tips. And it's very important, if you haven't been doing that you do that moving forward, because you're going to want to take advantage of this tip credit. And this is the only way to take advantage of the tip credit, is making sure that you record it properly. Okay. So in total, this particular employee would finish the year with $58,000 on their W-2, made up of both the wages and the tips. So now that we're clear on that, we're going to go to the next stage. Now we're going to talk about how does this break down into taxes for the employment taxes. So let me go to that breakdown. So we have, okay, we're going to take this one at a time. So we're going to do tax on wages. If you are the employer, okay, before this tip credit, the tax on the wages, the employer tax part, because the US, we love a lot of taxes and there are multiple taxes. So this is just one of them, right? So we have the tax on the wages for employment taxes, the employer portion, just the employer portion, $3,825. This was before. And now we're going to compare it with, now that we have this one big beautiful bill. So with the one big beautiful bill, same. That number does not change. You're still responsible for 7.65% of the wages. Okay. So that number doesn't change. Then we have the tax on the tips. Same percentage, 7.65. This is $612 on the tip income. And now in 2025, with this tip credit, that hasn't changed. You're still paying the $612. So you're like, well, Jennifer, what? I'm not. Oh, yeah, okay, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Just be patient. So the total payroll tax, $4,437. So that's when you're like, Jennifer, you're not making no sense. Here it is. Now we got it. We got it right here. So before the one big beautiful bill, the IRS tip credit, 0. You didn't have a tip credit before, but now you have a tip credit. So now you can get dollar for dollar back what you paid in tips, or the tax on tips. You can get that back now. This is significant. So that is the difference. So now when we look at how much you're spending, the final cost, because now we want to know, like, okay, Jennifer, like what is the deal? Like, tell me, what is this going to cost me? So the final cost to you as the business owner, right before it was 4,437. We saw that number. But now your total is going to be 3,825 because you're going to get that credit to get back what you spent on the tips. Amazing. Yeah, this is huge. And if you saw some of my other videos, restaurants have been doing this for years, since like 1939, I think. Yeah, a long time. Finally, this hair industry is getting some recognition because we operate very similarly to these restaurants. And these restaurant owners have been getting this credit. So, yeah, we needed to get the credit too. So, round of applause, because now the hair industry is getting this credit, and this one starts 2025. So, I'm really excited about this one because for all of my salon owners who have been running payroll, we're going to get this credit for the first time in 2025. So it's going to be a busy tax year. And so if you have not already secured your spot to work with someone who is going to help you not only file your taxes, but make sure you have all of the strategies in place to save you the most money and to get you all of the credits that you are entitled to. If you don't have that person, I want to invite you to click the link in the description. Now, we are only working with a limited number of clients for this filing season, whether it's a 2025 tax return or a prior year tax return. We're only working with a limited number of clients. And so you can reserve your spot with the link that is in the description. And I would love to help make sure that you are getting all of the credits and all of the deductions that you are legally entitled to, so that you can pay the least amount in taxes legally possible, because we're not doing no shady stuff over here. Leave the shady stuff somewhere else. Go to John and them down the street with that, because not here. All right. So if that is you, again, I would love to work with you. The link is in the description. And that's it. So again, my name is Jen, and I simplify profits and taxes for self-employed hair professionals and hair business owners. And I will see you tomorrow when we dive into another tax topic. See you then.